Hey friends, it's Kurt from Transformative Journeys. Back at you with another exercise for mindfulness on your motorcycle. So one of the wonderful things about motorcycles is they give us so many ways in which to practice mindfulness, in which to do just things that bring us back to the moment, that we're in. So the first set of exercises all had to do primarily with contact points on the motorcycle. Our hands, our fingers, our balls of our feet, the bottom of our butt, the inside of our knees, inside of our thighs. And then the second one, we talked about where we put our eyes, which I actually think is one of the most important things for motorcycling, but it's really handy to think about for grounding, to bring us back to being mindful and in the moment. So when I talked about that, I talked about where you look as you're cornering, where you look as you approach a corner, where you look as you're going through a corner, where you look as you're exiting a corner. Now let's play with that a little bit. If you're noticing where you look when you enter the corner, the next thing I want to ask you to do is just what would happen if you went a foot further into the corner before you initiated your steering input? What would happen? Just play with that and see how it feels. And while you're doing that, here's the thing on the other end. We talked a little bit about where you're looking when you exit the turn. But before that, before we get to seeing the exit of the turn, I want you to be mindful of where you bring throttle back in and why. Because at some point on the approach to the corner, you've probably had to slow down, which means you've closed the throttle. So now the question is, where do you bring the throttle back up? And that may vary by corner, that may vary by rider, that may even vary by what you're riding. But be mindful of it. Pay attention to it. Where am I bringing the throttle back in? When I come back up to what is called a maintenance throttle, sort of a steady state throttle or a slightly accelerating throttle, where do I bring that in? That's your mindfulness exercise to try for now. So go ahead and give that a try and see how it works. And I'd be interested if you were to talk about your experiences in the comments. So talk about where you turn in. Is it possible to turn in later or maybe sooner? Although, frankly, in my experience, that's not generally a good idea. But I'd like you to be really aware of why you're choosing to turn in, where you're choosing to turn in, and use that as a mindfulness exercise, something to ground you in the moment. Anyway, I've got more of these coming. I'm actually pretty excited about some of the ones that we still have coming, so stay tuned. I'll be back with more. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.